Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kevin. I'm a miniaturist living in New England and this is Minis by Kev. I originally told you all that in my last video I was going to work in a scale that I don't normally work in, and that project I actually had to delay because I realized one of the things I want to use in it, you have to use in a certain temperature. I'm going to use real wood stain for the first time, and it's too cold where I am to do wood stain in a place that it won't work properly. I've never actually used real wood stain, so like I read all the instructions and blah blah blah, and it said that you have to use it in a certain temperature, so that's not an option for me right now. So instead, I decided to go back to the 24th scale dollhouse. I had someone suggest that I maybe make some books, maybe like into like a library. I loved that idea. I love the idea of having books in it, so I decided I was going to work in 24th scale again. This is not a scale that I normally work in either, so it is kind of just something new for me. I mean, I have worked at it a couple times, but not to the extent, this extent of making something from scratch. Not something more modern. I have made my cardboard castle, which is 24th scale, but all that was like more medieval. My cat's trying to jump. He's too scared to jump, so this is my cat. And this week, I'm gonna be making a bookcase from scratch. I was a little nervous making this because, again, I've never made anything more modern out of scratch before. Let's go ahead though and turn the camera around and let's see what happens. The first thing I had to figure out was what thickness of material I needed to use to make the bookcase, because I'm used to working in 1/12 scale. This was going to be in 24th scale, so I had to do a little bit of math. But instead of doing the math, I actually went over to Bentley House Miniatures, who sells kits in 24th and 12th scale, just to see what it was that she used for the thickness of material for hers. In her 24th scale kits, she actually uses double cardstock, so I just glued 2 cardstocks together to get the correct thickness. As you can see here, I don't know if you can actually see it or not, but I didn't smear it thin enough, so it was a little lumpy, and I was a little nervous that might be an issue when I was building the bookcase, but in the end, you can't see any of it. But I did have a little momentary, oops, I messed up moment. I took my 12 scale bookcase that I made in a previous video and kind of just went off the dimensions I had for that to make a smaller version. So as I showed here, I made a little pencil mark on how tall I wanted the bookcase to be, and then I cut it out on my not sharp enough paper cutter that I definitely need to get a new blade for. I'm not sure if the pencil's too light to see. I think you can kind of see it if you squint, but I measured out what size I needed the sides and the shelves to be, and then I cut them out on the paper cutter as well. I decided to use my 1-2-3 block in hopes that it would help line up the side piece of the bookcase with the actual back of it, and it did help, but it was a little finicky because I'm not used to working with such thin material that can warp so easily. Even though it is double cardstock, it can warp. I'm not used to really working with it. So I was a little nervous about that, so I wanted to line it up perfectly. But even with the 1-2-3 block, the paper is a little wavy in the end. It's not perfect, but I don't think that in a completed room, I don't think anyone would notice. It's something that I noticed because I made it. I'm happy I used the 1-2-3 block. I just don't know if it was absolutely necessary. It did help hold it up though as it dried as well. After that side was all lined up, I went ahead and put down a little bit of glue and I lined up the other side. Put a little bit more glue on and glued on the top. I cut out all the shelves and started gluing those in as well, which I kind of had to figure out how to space them based off of my 12th scale bookcase, but I work in inches because I live in the United States, and it's difficult. It's difficult when you start getting into these really small numbers for 24th scale. Probably would have been better to work, you know, in a different system, but it is what it is, and I struggled through it. I glued on the bottom of the bookshelf, but it was around this time that I started to second guess putting another shelf in. I decided I wanted to do something a little different with the bookcase. I've seen bookcases that have doors at the bottom that are used for storage, and I felt like in this cottagey, colonial, storybook kind of house that I may be making, that I think this kind of bookcase would go well with the person I see living here. It gives you storage, it's kind of cutesy, and it's kind of cottagey. And I don't even know if I'm going with the cottage or going colonial, I don't know. But that's besides the point right now. I decided that I just wanted to put some doors on the bottom to fake a cabinet that would be down here. After cutting out the doors for the bottom cabinet piece, I decided that it was time to paint it. And I thought about doing a wood color, but I decided the person that lives here would paint their furniture. And it would look hand done. So I wanted to go with this light blue color. I thought about maybe doing like a creamy yellow color, but I just thought this light blue would really stand out, and it was really nice. I thought it was a nice blue to use. So I painted the whole bookshelf blue, including the doors. I made some faux handles out of just little pieces of paper that I painted brown and glued those on. And then I put down a little bit of glue and I glued the doors onto the bottom of the bookshelf. Once I was done painting it though, I thought it looked too bright. It looked too not lived in. So I mixed up a color that was the blue color, but with a little bit of brown to make it like a murkier version of this blue, just so I could dry brush. And what I did is I put the dry brushing in the areas I thought would be the most touched on the bookshelf. I kind of went heavy-handed with this later and I kind of put it all over, but I really focused on the areas where I thought like hands would be touching the bookshelf. So the doors, the shelves, the top, things like that. I decided that the person that lives in this house would be the kind of person that, like I said, would hand paint their furniture, but I also decided that they would have a little bit of fun with it. Think maybe Bridget Jones, I don't know. The person in my mind had this bookshelf and decided they were going to paint daisies on them. However, in the end, these don't really look that much like daisies. They kind of look like somebody threw a bunch of eggs at this bookshelf, but I'm okay with that. I still like how it looks because it's supposed to look hand-painted, and maybe the person that did this isn't that artistic, and they're like me, and they said, good is good enough, and they rolled with it. I decided to paint one daisy on the side, which I show you here. But then I decided these are too bright. Because I weathered everything else and I aged it, I needed to do the same for the daisies. And I thought maybe this would help muddle it back in, make it look more like flowers. In the end, they just look like egg splatters that someone tried to paint over. But again, maybe this person isn't artistic, and they're just trying their best, like I am, every day. Here's the bookshelf after I was done aging it, and everything was done with the actual bookshelf. But then I decided it's time to put some books on here, and I had to find 24th scale books. Some of these I made, and some of these I grabbed from a website that I will link down below. I've never made books this size, so it was a challenge. Here I am showing you this tiny little Coraline book I made and how little amount of space on the shelf it takes up. And here I'm showing you how I tried to make this encyclopedia printout, but I really did not like the way it looked. It looked too pixelated, it looked too fake. So in the end, I do not use this. Here's what it looked like when I had some of the books done, and then I made the rest off screen, and here's how it looked. And that is that. Look at this little thing. This is so tiny. So used to working in 12 scale that when I make things that are really, really small, I'm like, are we sure this is correct? Are we sure it should be this small? Are we sure that it should be so tiny? And it's not even the smallest scale. I mean, people work in 48 scale. People work even smaller than that. I can't imagine. Because even this was really difficult. I have glue stuck on my finger still. I just can't imagine going, like, making things smaller than this. It's so tiny. It's just so tiny, so tiny. It was interesting though. It was like its own little challenge working in this scale. And what's nice about this scale to me though is that it's 1 inch to 1 inch if you're doing 12 scale. So I just did 1 inch to 1 inch and halved it to get 24th scale, which like seems obvious, but I sometimes struggle with the math part of miniatures, which is why I like 12 scale. It's very easy to me. I like the challenge behind this. I'm definitely gonna be making more furniture because it's gonna go into the 24th scale dollhouse, which I still haven't really decided fully what it's gonna look like on the outside, but we'll see. And I'm just making furniture for it for right now. The reason why I didn't fully fill this is because I'm thinking about maybe moving some of these books down and putting like a little tiny clock or something on the shelf. Maybe some like other little accessories. I have so much glue just stuck to my fingers. Maybe like a houseplant. I've tried making houseplants before in 12 scale. I'm not good at it, but maybe I could try in 24th scale. I just want to put something else on here besides books, which is why I didn't completely fill it and why I didn't glue them down yet, because I want to be able to move them around if I add other things. I definitely want to make some kind of clock. So I need to look up clocks. I don't know. I've made a clock before, but never in 24 scale. That's my little baby bookshelf. It's gonna look so strange next to my green one. See, how does this make sense? How is this 12 scale and this is 24th scale? Did I mess it up? No. It's about, I did make it a little less than half because it should have been a little bit taller, but I didn't want it to be super tall. I wanted it to be like a shorter bookcase. This is like a big bookcase for like if it was regular scale. So that's so weird. That's so weird to look at. Look at that, that's so weird. Okay, it almost fits on one of the shelves almost. That's that for this week. Thank you for being here. If you made it this far, you're the best. The next 2 weeks, I really want to work on the thing that I said I've never worked on the scale before, but I have to wait for it to get a little bit warmer. So probably not gonna be next week either. Oh, that's frustrating because I really want to work on it. It is what it is. Next week, I think I have an idea. I might be starting a new project. I don't know. I have so many things in my mind I want to work on, so we'll see. But until next week, if you like me or you like miniatures, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Make sure you hit the like button below. It really helps my channel. Goodbye.